All companies, no matter big or small, are transforming their business digitally. They're looking for talents with digital skills to drive digital transformation. Now everyone is expected to work with emerging technologies, where data is the key ingredient. No matter what background you're from, no matter which position you're in, you will be expected to work with data. The truth is, you don't need to be a data professional to work with data. What you need is the ability to analyze, communicate, and work with data. This is data literacy. But how do you become data literate? Step 1, identify your digital skills. Step 2, get clarity on what skills to learn based on industry demands. Step 3, get a personalized learning path unique to you. Step 4, get matched with jobs and projects relevant to you. Step 5, connect with peers, mentors, industry experts, and employers. Step 6, participate in competitions to build reputation. Join thousands of others in a growing community. Future-proof your skills. Become data literate with Rubik. Sign up to get started. All companies, no matter big or small, are transforming their business digitally. They're looking for talents with digital skills to drive digital transformation. Now everyone is expected to work with emerging technologies, where data is the key ingredient. No matter what background you're from, no matter which position you're in, you will be expected to work with data. The truth is, you don't need to be a data professional to work with data. What you need is the ability to analyze, communicate, and work with data. This is data literacy. But how do you become data literate? Step 1, identify your digital skills. Step 2, get clarity on what skills to learn based on industry demands. Step 3, get a personalized learning path unique to you. Step 4, get matched with jobs and projects relevant to you. Step 5, connect with peers, mentors, industry experts, and employers. Step 6, participate in competitions to build reputation. Join thousands of others in a growing community. Future-proof your skills. Become data literate with Rubique. Sign up to get started.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are watching this webinar today. We are broadcasting this webinar live via Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube, also LinkedIn. I am Farouk from the Center of Applied Data Science or CATS, bringing to you our first webinar series to showcase CATS Project 2100, hashtag Data Literacy Month, in conjunction with the coming International Youth Day on 12th August. We are celebrating International Youth Day so we can draw attention to challenges, opportunities, and hope of our youth, on our future workforce, our future leaders. More importantly, in the next 1 month, we are continuing our mission in future-proofing the world by engaging citizens of ASEAN to promote data literacy and the rising need of data literate talent and workforce. Talking about data, With over 640 million inhabitants, ASEAN has exceeded the European Union and the United States. After China and India, ASEAN is the most populous region in the world. ASEAN's population is also very young, with over half between the ages of 20 to 54. There'll be exciting activities taking place during this campaign. Those who are interested to know more about this, please stay on for another 10 minutes after this webinar ends. We will begin the first webinar today by having 4 inspiring and intelligent ladies who are also strong advocates of data science impacting the future workforce. It gives me the great pleasure to introduce to you today Ms. Shalini Pavitran, CEO of the Malaysian Insurance Institute. She will be the moderator for the session. Shalini spent over 20 years of her career in various sectors within the financial services industry. She holds not 1, but 2 bachelor degrees in economics and in law. So let's begin the session. But first, please enjoy this short video as a teaser to what data literacy can offer to all of us.
COVID-19 is one of the biggest crises of our time. It has impacted every single one of us, shaken our social systems, and disrupted every sector of our economies. The automation of work, combined with a global recession, led workers to lose their jobs at an accelerated pace compared to previous years. And this trend is expected to continue. The ongoing shift in the division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms might displace 85 million jobs worldwide in the next 5 years, while 97 million new roles, ones that are more adapted to this new task distribution, may emerge. By 2025, companies expect to displace roughly 6% of their total workforce. 1 in 2 workers will need reskilling, and those remaining in their current roles will need to update 40% of their skill set to adapt to the changing labor market. There is a way to collectively benefit from these challenging times. Decades of research have shown that the most valuable asset of any economy or company is its human capital. Around the globe, companies are already experiencing a shortage in relevant skills for future roles and are investing in reskilling and upskilling their workforce. By 2025, organizations say they will train over 70% of their employees to ensure they can smoothly transition into the jobs of tomorrow. These include DevOps engineers, artificial intelligence specialists, digital marketing managers, talent acquisition specialists, and customer success specialists. It will take on average between 2 weeks and 5 months for workers to pick up new skills, allowing them to move into these new roles. But data shows they won't need to have the perfect skill set to start transitioning. While 2/3 of employers expect to get a return on investment in employees' reskilling programs within just 1 year, governments will also need to step in to update and fund education and training systems, and to ensure displaced workers have adequate safety nets. With purposeful leadership and collaboration, we can turn this global crisis into a unique opportunity to transition into a future of jobs that is inclusive, fair, and sustainable.
Thank you, Faro. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank KEDS and the CEO, Sharala, for inviting me to be part of this important discussion on demand and growth of data professionals. Now, the video we just saw, I thought it would be good for us to just sort of like set a context as to why we are having this really important conversation. And I want to commend KEDS for the project 2100 that they've launched, because it is so crucial and vital at this moment, and we need to start taking steps to prepare for the future of jobs as new graduates, employers, industry professionals, education institutions like the Malaysian Insurance Institute and the government, take the necessary steps to prepare. Now, we have seen the pace of change accelerate, and significantly more since last year. Now we are seeing double disruption. I know we talk about disruption, but now what we see is double disruption, COVID as well as automation. Now automation, robotics, and AI are creating fundamental changes in our lives, and data is the universal language of this 4th industrial revolution. And in a world powered by data, data literacy is as important as literacy. And what the work that CADS is doing with this, I think, is equally is really vital. And the World Economic Forum expects work to be divided equally among humans and machines by 2025. Now, that thought, I mean, when I was reading that, it sounded scary. But if you think about it, it is scary if you're not doing anything about it. And that's what we are here today. And I'm sure a lot of organizations have started to take steps, and there's an urgent need now to transform by harnessing the data opportunity and significant level of reskilling and upskilling and retooling from employers to ensure the staff, the employees that they have today, are sufficiently equipped for the future of work. Now, according to the World Economic Forum as well, half of all employees will need some level of retraining in the next 5 years. Now, we have a lot of ground to cover. It's a lot. It does. I mean, we're going to be talking, a whole range of topics. So I just want to kick off our discussion today, and I would like to introduce our panelists, as you can see on your screen. I want to start, and we have a great lineup of panelists, trailblazing industry leaders, and as Farouk mentioned just now, an all-woman panel, and I'm thrilled about that. I know Sharala was mentioning that there's 3S and 1H. Yes, okay, fine. That's fine too. Okay, so we kick off. We start off with Datin Hafsa Nordin. She's the head of enterprise data at Petronas. She's responsible for orchestrating Petronas' data strategy and is the first woman in the organization to lead in the data function. Now, Datin Hafsa oversees efforts to build the enterprise data hub and scale advanced analytics across the organization. Next, we have Ms. Shafinas Mohammad Ibrahim. She is the Chief People Officer of AXA Afin General Insurance Berhad with over 20 years in human resources. She was also promoted to Regional Lead People Intelligence and Project Activation at AXA International and New Markets, and has been instrumental in launching various initiatives to keep AXA at the forefront of people and tech. Lastly, we have Dr. Shamim Farouk, who is the head digital skills development of Maybank and is responsible for Maybank Group's digital skills development initiative called the Future Ready Program. The Future Ready Program was the first digital mass upskilling program launched among FIs in Malaysia, and it has contributed over 1 billion in business impact in the past 3 years for Maybank Group. Welcome, everyone. It's really great to have you on the panel here. Now, let's get our audience involved. I know it's really boring if it's all just us talking, so let's get our audience involved. Let's kick things off with a poll. Okay, let's launch the poll now. Now, the question, I think it should be coming up on your screen right now. If we can have it, Shinket. Yes, there it is. Now, in the next 4 years, do you think more jobs will be gone or new ones will emerge due to technological advancements? We'd love to hear from you. What do you think? I know we saw that video. The video said something, but what's your thoughts? So let's give the audience a little bit of time. I think we can close the poll maybe in about five or so seconds, maybe, Shinket? I'm curious. What do you think, Shamim? What do you think? Where do you think we're going to be at?
Probably, well, I think a lot of people are scared by those statistics you just gave, isn't it, Shalini?
I know. I was really worried. When I saw that, I was like, really, human and machines, 50-50. That was really scary. Yeah.
But hopefully, Shalini, maybe the panel here can dispel that a bit.
Exactly. That's what I hope.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm glad that our audience is very optimistic about the future and they think that more jobs will be created. That's very good. I want to kick things off, Shamim, since you're already there, right? To prepare for the future. Like we are talking about this whole thing about what CADS is doing about future proofing. To prepare for the future, how has Maybank digitally transformed itself over the years? And how has its priorities shifted since the pandemic?
Right. Okay, so there's two questions there because our journey digital upskilling journey started in 2018. So it's about 3 years now, right? And I have to say, we had in the HR colleagues, we had to also lay some foundation towards that initial 2018. But that's a separate topic. But in 2018. We started off, and I would say, if I were to think about the overarching theme, right, that really helped the organization, I would say, digitalize and get all our 40,000 staff to know what Future Ready is about, to know what digital is about, is both, I think it's a strong learning orientation that started both from our top and then also from the ground up. So that's basically both top-down and bottom-up approaches we took, right? And now I'll explain. It's very I'm very excited to share because it was quite a fun journey. Now I say fun now on hindsight, right? But at the time when we started, our CEO, he said, we are going to do a strategic offsite just on training and development on digital skills. Now, my colleagues say, no, usually an offsite is for strategy, business development matters, right? But we spent 1.5 days in Malacca just talking about training. Okay, and this was just our group exco members, the 13 group exco members, and myself and our human resource officer. And we thought about what skills we should prepare our staff for, how we should do it, how do we communicate this down, how much we should spend, how much we should pledge, right? Wow. And so 1.5 days. Now, then they gave me 3 weeks. 3 weeks, start a program, right? Because we don't have time, literally, and everyone here knows, what that means. But so 3 weeks, and then immediately we have to come up with an agile way of doing this, right? Okay. And so now the second ask was, and this is again another example and role modeling from our leadership. Okay. It's my CEO is saying, Dato' Farid saying, I want to learn what Python is. Right? Okay. I want to do this coding stuff.
He's walking the talk, right? He's walking the talk.
Walking the talk, exactly. Yeah. Right? And that's one example. Second example, one day I go to our Group Chief Human Capital Officer's office, Dato' Nora. Dato' Nora actually will be speaking later or next week, I think, or another day. But I go into her office, and then lo and behold, I saw a book on her table.
Okay.
And Shalini, you know what the book was about?
Okay, tell me.
How to learn Python.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right.
So I knew, it's not just one person here, not one of our senior leaders, actually at least 2 of them, right?
Okay.
And 2 crucial role models, right? Senior role models in our organization is curious about this, learning about this, right? Okay, then my role is, how do I now convince and find the right teacher, right? To now link business and this thing called Python, right? So that was the other challenge, because it has to relate to people, what their interests are. And that's the same thing, no matter from the top, middle, bottom, our front office tellers, clericals, same thing. How does it relate to us, right? How to relate to our interests, right? So then, lo and behold, okay, we do an executive education program. Now, Shalini, I'm sure you know, executive education on learning Python.
I know, okay.
We had to convince now this is a global, we actually engaged with INSEAD Business School. We actually had to convince them, hey, our board members. Now, then our CEO actually convinced our board members to also go on the board, right? And learn Python. So in a morning session, we would learn the strategic applications of AI to the business, case studies and all that. In the afternoon session, right, we would have a Python coding workshop.
Wow, okay.
Our board members, right, now the average age is easily 50 years old. Okay.
So who says you can't learn if you're a little bit more senior, right? Who says that?
Okay. Exactly. So to participants here who are 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, no excuse.
So very true.
So that's an example of the learning culture, the learning examples, right? That's the tool from the top. Then bottom up, what did we have to do? Go down to the ground. We had to engage the hearts and minds of the staff. Why is this relevant and so forth, right? But one thing, so one thing I want to point out is really that learning culture, right? Now that I can talk about a little bit more later about the learning culture and what that means. But underlying it, Shalini, I would say the organization has to be a safe space as well for people to make mistakes, and to have that humility, for our CEO to say, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Most leaders don't want to do that, right? Because it shows your fallibility in a way. It shows that you don't know everything, but you're right. Yeah, I think, and especially during this pandemic, I think that humility has come out quite strongly as a leadership trait that's very vital, right?
Absolutely. So for us, thank you for bringing that word humanity and humanizing, because our mission at Maybank is humanizing, right? So we equate learning is how we can be better humans, right?
Okay,
and it really helps with the humanizing mission and digitalization and so forth. So now coming back to the second question, how do we deal with the pandemic? Because we started this in 2018.
Okay.
2020,
I see. Okay.
Staff were prepared. We had, now you would know, because a lot of our front office tellers and all that, their computer networks, their computer system is not designed for accessing the World Wide Web. Okay, that would be too dangerous. So what we did was, because they needed to learn, a lot of stuff are on Google, YouTube, right? So we gave them the tools to access in a safe manner Google, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Right?
Okay.
All those tools, the broadband, bandwidth, hardware, and all that were given to them back in 2019. Come 2020, they were able to use it for Zoom and etc. Right?
So the transition was pretty seamless because you were preparing for that day to come, right? In a way.
So I can't say it's seamless. Yeah, there are a lot of issues as well, right? But at least the mindset of the embracing that we have been already in that process of transitioning helped. Right?
Okay. I think Victor has a question for you. Is top down more difficult or bottom up to start a data culture? What do you think?
Okay, so for a transformation, I think top down is easier because the transformation starts from the top themselves, right?
Okay.
So but the bottom up, especially for us, 40,000 staff, geographically dispersed, right? Throughout ASEAN, and then you've got different levels of staff. We even talk about clericals, messengers. We have an upskilling program for them, right?
Fantastic. Yeah.
If we really want a culture, we need everyone. It needs to be an inclusive approach. That's where the learning needs to be really customized. And that's the challenge, right?
Yeah. Okay, very good. Okay, that's Maybank. Let's hear from Datin Hapsa from what they are doing in Petronas. So how has digitalization affected Petronas and the way it operates? I know we think about it, oil and gas company, but how has life changed? How, the work that you're doing, how has that really made an impact at Petronas?
Okay, thanks, Shamili, for the questions. I think first and foremost, I'm glad to say at least we don't force everyone to learn Python in Petronas, unlike Maybank. A bit about snapshot of Petronas, right? To begin with, we're quite a big organization. We have 325 subsidiaries operating around the globe in 65 countries. So we have nearly 48,000 employees. Before we talk about digital, I just want to emphasize that one of the critical part of digital is about the data. Right. So Petronas, we started about data management with the right practices in the upstream activities. We started that the last 40 years ago. And the digital journey only a decade ago, also factored and very much intensive in the upstream activities. 2017, when we see there are values that we created from the upstream activities, we see there are actually opportunities where we can take a look at the common pain points across Petronas, and then we give birth to a few of, we call it minimum lovable products. These are the digital projects, the digital solutions. And we start to scale it up, and we see the reach, we see the proof of value, and then we begin to integrate the solution for the enterprise business value chain. And because digital has proven its values, Petronas decided to have a centralized function of a group digital. This particular group digital, it actually encompasses all the, I would say, the practitioners of digital across Petronas. And the birth of it started in 2020. And more so for me, I'm actually heading the enterprise data that was actually created in April 2020. So when we talk about data itself in a digital world, it's very key, right? Because I think data will set the fundamentals how we want to do digital right and making sure that it gets operated right. So one of the things that may be slightly different from my role against Dr. Shamin and Safina says, I don't come from HR. I pretty much actually lead a department that actually take a look at the whole strategy and orchestrate the whole data governance, the delivery of the digital project concerning data deliveries, some of the component of master data management and so forth. So what we are also building right now to make sure that digital become a reality in Petronas, one of the key projects we are now doing is completing what we call as Enterprise Data Hub. Okay. This is a data analytics platform in Petronas that allows for three value propositions for Petronas. First, it allows for a data as a service, which means that the 48,000 people in Petronas be able to log into EDH and to actually get the data. I think what we are facing right now in Petronas, because there are disparate systems across Petronas, is difficult to get data in a single place. And I'm sure that could also...
Yeah. And most companies would face the same problem, right? If I recall.
The same company across the globe. Everyone said the same thing, right? The second part, because we are also actually making the organization and citizens more analytic savvy, we'll be able to also bring and converge many of these advanced analytics. And the path and access to this advanced analytics is also through this enterprise data hub. The third one is when we actually build this platform, we also built it with the components of the right technology stacks. So we see that there are some of the pain points. For instance, I give an example, right? How do we actually manage data of unstructured? We all know in an organization, 80% of data are unstructured rather than structured. So the pain points that we have, let's say, for instance, how do we wrangle the data? So EDH will be a component that be able to drive and provide that services. So what we envision that with this analytics market, with this analytics platform, we'll be able to actually power up a lot more digital across, a lot more analytics across, and that allows for, I think, new insights in terms of new innovation and new value that we can prove across. So which means that we educate people in terms of data, and they can see that when they actually allow and apply what they learn later, which I'm going to cover later, from the citizens analytics, how do they see from the data, how they be able to work on the data, what do they understand to solve the pain points, and as well as be able to drive the value. So that's exactly how we take on board digital journey in Petronas.
Fantastic. I mean, you've really thought about it, but again, you're coming purely from a data purist, I would say. I feel like I sound like Darth Vader. Can you hear me clearly? You can, right, Datin? Can you hear me clearly? Okay, good.
Yes.
I feel like I sound like Darth Vader right now. Okay, like there's some technical problems. Yeah, so because I think you're coming from a data purist perspective, so so I can see that you've really thought about that. Very different, as you say, because Dr. Shamim and Shafina's HR leaders, and they're looking at it from a people perspective, and you're looking at it from a data perspective. So very good, excellent. We'll cover more ground on what Petronas is doing. Shafinas, over to you. Now, you and me, we are both in the insurance industry, and we hear this very often. Insurance is so traditional, it's so boring, so old, so whatever. We hear this all the time. It's slow to change. How is AXA defying that perception? What are you doing?
Well, insurance is not a traditional industry. Okay, I can vouch that. Okay, there are a lot of exciting initiatives happening in insurance industry, especially in the innovation and digitalization space. But I must admit that, of course, the rate of change for insurance industry is not as fast as if you compare with Apple, with Samsung. But there are various factors and dependencies that lead to it, such as Number one, insurance is a highly regulated industries. I'm sure Dr. Shamin we'll also be in the same boat. Financial industry, banking, insurance, it is a highly regulated industry. In a normal layman terms, there are a lot of do's and don'ts, okay, governed by the central bank. So not only in terms of product itself, but also in the operational matters of the insurance company. Point number two is on the demand of the product itself. Reality in Malaysia, vast majority of our populations do not see insurance as a necessity, okay? It's more on nice to have rather than must have. And I'm confident to say that people Google more on Shopee, Lazada, Grab, Foodpanda, even Tesco online instead of finding an insurance for protection. Okay,
it's not as fun, lah, Shavina. It's not as fun. Okay. Okay.
And the final point is it is also depends on customer segment and the preferred channel. Based on the current trend, agency is the most preferred channel in Malaysia insurance landscape. Okay, however, shift or focus towards customer experience, product differentiation, cost efficiency, new business model, emergence of fintech and insurtech, all these have urged the insurance company to think differently and be disrupted. Okay, let me just give a context for AXA Malaysia. So we have started to focus on data, innovation, digitalizations back in year 2016. And of course, it starts with having people with the right skill set and capabilities to bring the company future forward. We started to introduce, we call it new emerging roles and structure in the company back then in year 2016, yeah, such as the big data team. These are our in-house data analytics, machine learning experts, introduce our or set up our operations innovation teams. These are the team who are responsible for robotic process automation, process engineer, business process improvement. Then we have our digital and application team, and also analytics team in claims department to further optimize claims efficiency. And all these roles and positions, I'm sure it do not sound a traditional role, right? And probably, I mean, the participants or the audience may not think that or expect these roles exist in the insurance company. And as a result of our investment in people back then until now, we have introduced or pioneered in various new innovative products for both customers and also in the people segments, yeah, employee segment. Just to share few, we have launched Malaysia first telematics app-based motor insurance, launched the Fitness Plus for AXA first wellness app. We launched chatbot with AI capability and analytics on demand for our customers and employees. We are the first in AXA globally. We have AXA presence in 54 countries globally to introduce robotic process automation in business and HR processes. And recently this year, we have started to build our own omni-channel to provide integrated, consistent customer experience on our product. And this is built by our own internal team, consists of people from various departments and divisions. And they are using agile methodology in deployment of this project. Dedicated teams, self-organized teams, focus on incremental value, speed to market, and so on. And just to share, AXA is the first and only insurance in Malaysia to have won the International General Insurer of the Year and New Insurance Product of the Year awards for the 5th consecutive year at the Asian Banking and Finance Insurance Asia Awards in year 2020. Okay, so it is not a traditional.
Exactly, right. I'm so happy to hear that, right? Okay. I am not part of a traditional, and I think we were having this conversation, for people who are, okay, I'm sorry, I have to plug insurance industry a little bit, just because, Shamim, I think banking get a lot of limelight, right? So, okay, now we're going to help insurance a little bit. I think it's the only industry that like what Shafinas was saying, they use robotics, they use drone technology, ML, AI, analytics, the full works, right? So if you want to come join Petronas, join Maybank, join insurance. We're all cool. Okay, so I think that's what we want to say. We are all cool. You want to try data? come. You want to learn about how to leverage technology at a large scale. This is where it is. And if I listen to all our speakers today, to all of them, they are experimenting. They want to try new things. They're at the cutting edge of really changing the landscape of the industry. And I think that's really great. Let's just take some questions from the audience. Shamim, I think because you talked about leadership, right? So I think just now you meant about role modeling and all that. Now, I think a question from our audience about how do you get buy-in? Is it naturally getting buy-in from a wider C-suite to use, it's really difficult, right? How do you influence leaders to use a digital platform, to learn digital skills? How do you get that buy-in?
Yeah, so going back to the earlier point I said was about linking it to what is of interest to each individual. So if our C-suite leaders, what's at the top of their mind is how I can make more business.
Okay.
And the value proposition is there a business case actually for this AI digital stuff, right? And of course, that to me, I think that's a given already, right? And so there's a lot of business cases, a lot of value. So actually, I think the buy-in from the leaders, from a business perspective, would be easy, I think would be there. Now, now the challenge that I started seeing, Shalini, and maybe this is less talked about, was that some of our senior leaders, now I'm not talking about the C-suite, right? I'm talking about the sort of middle management.
Middle managers, okay.
Now, what happened was that, this is interesting, some of them who are already doing data analytics, right? Because in banking, we do have, in the past, we do have a lot of these people who do our risk modeling. They are very quantitative people, right? They are analytics people, data scientists, right? Now, what had happened, I'm not talking about risk people here specifically, but what had happened is that now some of them, a small group of them, the experts, so-called experts, started challenging the idea that we should upskill everyone on data literacy, right? Now, why was this happening? Because it can be a threat sometimes to people, right? So if you're in the job of doing data science, and now you want to so-called democratize, right? AI, democratize data science. You want to democratize analytics, right? Because it should be embedded in a lot of what we do. It can threaten people, right?
That's true,
So,
yeah.
and what do we have to do? We have to, in fact, this is a real life situation. I literally had some of them, I had to bring them to see our CEO. Let's have a conversation, right? And our CEO, again, role modeling, listening, right? At the same time, challenging, right? And I think this is the leadership that is required to bring senior leaders together. So it goes back again to the role of the CEO to play that integrator, right? That orchestrator, that motivator.
Digital champion, right? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's still about engaging the hearts and the mind, right?
Okay.
But address that fear maybe that people have, and then address the interest as well and how to ignite that, right?
Very good. Very good. Datin, there's a specific question on Petronas about whether Petronas has a data compliance department. You do?
Yes. So actually, the data compliance, we actually call it data governance. So it's within the team under enterprise data. So these are the department that sets the so-called the governance, the policies, the procedures, the standards. But those are from a data management. We also have a technical related that will be also undertaken by a data architecture team that's also under my team currently. So we do have an enterprise level, and then this gets communicated and this gets applied across Petronas. But what we have in terms of the way we run governance, what we call as a centralized governance and decentralized assurance. Because at each component of the business, we also have appointed related data stewards, data owners, and so forth. They carry accountabilities to make sure of the data can be trusted, the data is having the right quality, then they be able to have a more confidence on the data so that they be able to trust the results of their analytics. Okay. So we do have also the context of decentralized assurance that we are actually now operations. in operations at the moment.
Very good. Shafinas, I think you talked about all the different innovation that's happening in AXA. There's a question on, can you explain more on agile methodology, which clearly you'll apply? How does it actually work?
Okay, agile methodology basically, I give an example on the specific projects. Yeah, there are two types of agile. One is on the big A, which is on the technical side. One is on the small A, which is on the culture side. When I talk about technical side, that is about having a Scrum team, Kanban, design thinking, using all these tools, relevant tools, to fit a particular project or processes that we would like to introduce and implement. So those are on the agile methodology. And in order to implement agile methodology, number one, support from the senior leadership team is very important, because when you are implementing agile, empowerment needs to be given to this agile team. You know, they are empowered. This self-driven Scrum team, you know, it cannot be every little things you need to get approval from the heads of department. No, agile, it has to be, comes together with the empowerment.
Okay, very good. I think that's where we often see issues where I think this is about, you know, you prototype, you fail fast, you learn,
fast,
you go ahead, right? Yes. Okay. I think we have a question, Shamim, for you, right? It's though it's easy to bring forward a business case for some departments to implement data frameworks for the purpose of increasing business and sales, but what are the levels of management acceptance towards implementation of such tech for cost centers like risk, compliance, and audit? How easy is it to get management buy-in?
Oh, no. In Maybank, you know, one of the first projects that actually resulted in early quick wins for us was, lo and behold, from our audit team.
Wow.
Yes. I think Shafinas would know, and actually Shalini, you might also know, because the audit team, they have a tech team, a technology team as well, because a lot of our banking systems are digital, right? I mean, it's already on tech, right? It's already computerized, let's say, okay? So now, because we have billions of transactions to really go through, right? It is humanly impossible for an auditor to go through these billions of transactions to identify which ones is suspicious, which one is not suspicious, right, and so forth. So to auditors, digital was, this analytics and AI machine learning was a dream come true, because now if we have a nice data lake, like I think Dati Hafsa was talking about, right, you can literally, and with all the tools and algorithms that they are learning, they found this was, thank you for saving my work. Now I will have more time with greater accuracy, dependability, to even suss out. You know, we have a machine algorithm to suss out which ones are suspicious, which ones are not. And that can be done within a few minutes now, right? So that's one example, the audit team. Risk team has always been about machine learning, because again, Shafina, in fact, the actuarial scientists are all quant people, right?
Okay.
So are always using data to make estimates. Okay, how long this person might live? Okay,
the mortality rate, right? Okay, yeah.
And all, estimating the premiums that one should get and all that. But this requires a lot of data. So the mindset of quantification, the mindset of applying algorithms had already been there. Now, I'll give you another example. Legal department.
Wow, really? How do you get the lawyers in? Okay, how do you do that?
I had another conversation with them yesterday.
Okay.
You would never imagine the legal department applying machine learning.
No
right?
way, really?
Wow. I'm sharing a bit, but so they came to me and say, hey, you asked us to learn about this machine learning and AI, and one of the key things that our CEO said is, we want to build capabilities not just for the short term, but the long term as well. So a lot of things, we are not going to hire consultants to build our models. We need to do it ourselves. So that was another key thing which our CEO said to everyone, right? So now, our legal team, because they also had to learn what machine learning AI is about, they came with an idea. Hey, we have a lot of these panel lawyers, right, to appoint, right? And some panel lawyers are better than others.
That's true.
How do we decide? Okay. And so can we use data to tell us which panel lawyers would be better than others?
That's true. Yeah, the success rate and all that, right? Yeah, yeah, that's good.
I have
That's
so
really
many
good.
examples. Remedial department. I can go on and on and on.
Can. I think that, yeah, I think that should definitely give the person who asked the audience member some insights into that. Jatin, just to check, right? Thank you, Shamim. Do you have any tools? Okay, this is a quite a specific question, but again, it's open to all. But do you have any tools, instruments, or methods to assess the employee's level of interest in learning data skills? Are there any, or it's open to anyone? Shafinas as well. Shamim, anybody? Yes.
We don't really have a specific tool, but I think the call for actions here is everyone must learn and be literate, right? On digital and more literate on data. So I think the fact that the top leaderships are on board, apart from what Shamin have mentioned, their leadership team is learning Python. We also have the same traction also in Petronas. So we have seen and we have going through a data citizen analytics program. It actually allows for the organization to understand about analytics, be able to use the data, be able to visualize that, and also apply the machine learning model. So that itself creates, in terms of the motivation, people see results, what they learn, what they apply on the data, and the value. And you can see that a lot of traction. So I think tool may not be necessary there. So I don't think so that's the case.
Okay.
I think people want to see from results.
Okay.
So there's a proven value. I'm sure a lot of people will be on board.
So there's a business case for change. Okay.
Yes.
Shafinas, a question for you, right? Is there any additional support in AXA? Let's talk about AXA, right? Is there any additional support that your AXA provides to staff who intend to pivot their career to a more data analytical role?
Okay, let me share with you in terms of what are the initiative or activities that we have done. Of course, importance and emphasis on data literacy have always been one of the key messages from my CEO in almost all of his town hall.
Okay.
And this year, we have shared with our employees what are the top 5 thriving skills that all employees must have in building the DNA of our people, and data literacy is one of it. So in October this year, we are going to roll out a data citizen initiatives, and objective is to inculcate data culture and enhance data literacy through various learning interventions and mentoring programs. And this is open throughout to the whole organizations, okay? It is a pilot project for us to learn and make the relevant changes before implementing it throughout the company. And data related topic and learning, starting from this year, data related topic and learning will be embedded into almost all our development program, and this including the leadership development programs. And we are partnering with CAD in doing this.
Very good, very good. I just want to tackle one question. I know we are talking about as we look at the new people that are joining in the industry, data professionals. But I just want to talk about, I know like AXA has a huge staff force, Petronas, I think almost 50,000, Maybank almost 40,000, AXA equally big. Now, how do you know whether should you look internally to upskill or reskill, or should you bring people from outside? How does that whole decision-making process come about? I mean, Datin, maybe you want to take that, or anyone else here?
Okay, I think first and foremost, right, when we started with the digital journey, we started knowing that we need to bring some of the key capabilities into Petronas. So one of it is about data scientists. We did not have that many data scientists, so we recruit more people. But the journey of digital is very long, right? It's going to be a definite journey. So while we are recruiting people externally, we are also upskilling our people within that particular domain. But when you look at the data professional, it's not just limited to data scientists. It's not just limited to data analysts. At the world of the data, when we talk about bringing so-called the data into a data lakes and everything, you will hear like the nomenclature of data modeler, data quality engineer, data architecture, right? So the way we do things in Petronas, if we need to understand which of the role that we want to make sure that we have an internal people. We keep these people within the organization because these are the roles that are very key to strategize, to shape, and to innovate. So a lot of time we will bring our own internal, I would say, staff. But we also see there are some roles, for instance, like data engineer, is widely available in the market. This is where we say that it's easy for us to get the supply. So we need to have the right balance between the internal resources as well as the external resources. So we need to have the right strategy between all these components. And we need to understand, even like when we talk about the data analyst, if you think about it, it's not just a full-time job of a person. Exactly, it's every one of us who's doing finance, who's doing risk, who's doing audit, who will later transform ourselves in addition to a risk practitioner. We also need to have the skill of doing a data analyst role. So we are also bringing this change across Petronas. So this change is all about bringing the data literacy. So I think the component about the role, about the strategy, it must be very much seamless. We also have to understand, right? Some of this role may not be still relevant in the future. So I give you an example, right? We talk about data scientists. Well, we have this role that is very key. We also know there are advancements in technologies. So with the advancement of technologies, some of the role will be kind of diluted over a period of time. So maybe the data scientists will have to even upskill themselves slightly higher, right? Because some of their job, whatever that they tasked in the past, is now being taken over by machines, by technologies. So I think this is also where the understanding about the changes that will also be able to be different because the advancement in technologies. So we are actually monitoring this across. For Petronas, apart from that, we see that a data practitioner are actually a specialized functions. It's a specialized career. We are actually bringing in terms of a structured capability. We are actually developing the specialists in each of the functional area. And we wanted to make sure that these so-called specialists, they become what we call as a data technical authority. Because these are the ones who will then talk about the principles of design instead of technical, the principles of design, having the right technology, so that it allows for a streamlining of design to make sure that we no longer operate in the past. Because in the past, we operate in isolation. There's a lot of fragmentation. So if you think about Petronas, right, we are not like finance and insurance. We are finance, insurance, marketing, distribution, everything in what we call Petronas. So you can understand the domain of complexity and also the I would say headache that we are managing in Petronas.
All right. Shamim, I know that you're doing a lot of work in this area. I think there are a few questions here in terms of, has there been a challenge to find data professionals for the company right now for Maybank?
Yeah, I think there's different levels, as Datin was saying, of expertise, right? The challenge that we see, and which is why we took a very strong upskilling approach, was data scientists who are not just techies, who are not just quants, but people who have a business sense as well, and data scientists who are strategic as well. Because a lot of our models, at the end of the day, is not building the most accurate model. But at the end of the day, it's about building the most profitable answer and solution.
Okay, all right.
So there are many models will tell you, well, if we do a clustering, we can cluster things to about 5 clusters. Hey, but think about how Amazon.com and Alibaba and Ant Financial does this segmenting. It's not 5 segments. It's an infinite number of segments, because each of us here is a segment by itself. Each of us here are very different human beings with very different needs. So the old way of segmenting the market, for example, to 5 clusters, 5 different segments or 6 different segments, it is not too profitable, right? And so this is the business savviness that needs to tie in with the quantitative data scientist modeling techniques as well. And this is tough to find.
Okay. Very good. Shafinas, what about in terms of challenges to train the in-house people in the organization to become data literate? I guess it's about creating a data literate culture.
Yes,
How,
yes.
how do you see that?
I think most importantly is having people or encouraging having people with growth mindset is very important. That is the number one. And as an employer, our role is to educate people.
Okay.
Resistance will always be there, but at the end of the day, it is for the future employability. That is the most important thing. Okay, our role is to provide you a future career proof.
Okay.
And those are the kind of communications that we had with our employees. And of course, the next thing is provide them the environment and the tools for them to learn.
Okay. Do they get incentivized, Shafinas, if you see they are really, they're accepting of the change? Are there incentives built in as well for that?
Of course. They I always believe in intrinsic motivation.
Okay.
Not necessarily everything you must give extrinsic motivation. First of all is intrinsic motivations. And of course, when people enhance in capacity and capability, that will also result in advancement in their career progressions.
Very true. I mean, that's what I tell my people as well, right? You need to take charge of your career.
Yes,
it's for your benefit. Yes.
You're right. That's why in our pilot study, we were having a discussion. Should we ask the head of department to nominate, or we should just open it to all employees? And my take is just open it to all employees.
Very true.
It doesn't matter whether they are clerk or whatever their level is. Because when you talk about data, I am not trying to train each and everyone to be a data scientist, because
exactly.
Data it is no longer a luxury skill set. It has become a norm, and it is part and parcel of embedding this skill set in our processes, whether it is in decision makings or improving efficiency. Data is to me is a basic fundamental.
Agreed, absolutely. Datin, as data and its this is the next question that we have from our audience. As data and its related tools move to cloud, or even build in-house for them, or if it's built in-house, how do you incorporate cybersecurity aspects of these tools to prevent incidences? There are cases where deployment, I know everybody laughing, yes, I know. For us in the financial institution, this is a major headache, I know. There are cases where deployment of analytic tools become the point of entry to malicious attackers simply due to people only caring about the analytics aspect of the data. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the journey going into digital, the first thing that we want to make it perfect is on the cybersecurity. So that was the early journey of Petronas. And I think when we talk about cybersecurity, there's no negotiation about it, right? It's either black and white.
Okay.
Comply or you don't comply. So the way we do from a context of designing the right data platforms, whatever the solutions, there will be the technical guardrails that we need to follow in relation to the cybersecurity.
Okay.
Yeah. So that requirement is also some of the area that we need to make sure whenever we evaluate new technologies, whenever we evaluate new design, the complying to cybersecurity will be the first thing we need to do. But apart from cybersecurity, in the space of data, we're always concerned about the data security. Cybersecurity, data security are very two different things, right? Because there are layers of security. So that itself where we also put the right component of safeguarding the data. The safeguarding of the data, maybe a little bit more technical here, as simple as how do we explain about what would this data be classified? That's the first thing, right? So once you have then doing the classification, then how do we do the right, I would say, approach to actually secure the data? So I think when you talk about digital, people need to also be confident whenever that the data is being loaded into a data lake or a data platform, that data must be treated with respect, with the right approach, with the right governance and security.
And it shouldn't be an afterthought, right? Datin, as you're saying.
It shouldn't be an afterthought.
Yeah.
So that's the reason. So if you think about from a data analyst or the data scientist, most of these mostly are consumers of the data. But there are a huge team, many roles behind this so-called, I would call it a data factory, I want to call it. These are the people who really have to find out where does the data reside, how do we going to bring the data pipeline, how I'm supposed to do the quality checks of the data, How will then I bring the data and model it within my platforms? How would make sure that the data is being pretty much, structured so that the easy access, where it actually makes sense from a user perspective, it can easily be retrieval from that particular data platform.
Okay.
So if I want to go about it, it's very lengthy, but I
Okay,
think you can have a sense from it, from a
understand.
data professional. Don't limit ourselves to think about data scientists and data analysts. There's many roles out there that is growing, naturally growing, and a lot more in demand at the moment.
All right, very good. I have a question. I think it's both open to Shafinas or Shamim, because this person is in the education sector and also highly regulated. Both of you all will appreciate that. So he's saying, what is workable in a digital transformation for university-wide adoption? And how can leaders, how do you get buy-in? How can our leaders start to ignite, the interest I get or the passion to get people on board on the digital journey? And the person is asking whether, does it involve monetary investment or not? Quite a few questions there, but how do you, in a highly regulated industry, how do you get started in that journey? How do you keep people motivated? And how do you keep people getting that off the ground? Any thoughts?
I guess number one motivation is to ensure continuous future employability. That is basic needs of each and everyone.
That's true.
And of course, when we talk about investment in people, cost will definitely be there, but it is up to the company. You want to see it as an investment or you want to see it as a cost, right? Building people definitely, in order for the company, McKinsey in its research has said that one of the 9 organizational imperatives for future ready organization, that is building data-rich platform and accelerating learning of critical and future skills.
Okay.
So I think it is self-explanatory, and I say investment is people, that is purposeful investment in people for future to further elevate and also elevate their capability and also capacity.
And I think that goes back to creating a real business case for change, right? Why do we need to do it, right? So I think when there's a compelling business case for change, people will get on board. I think that's
Shalini, as simple as look at COVID. What COVID has done has accelerated all whatever digital platform that we have.
That's very true.
Right? From physical working to remote working has become a norm. From not possible to work remotely due to trust, data related thingy, and at the end of the day, when COVID comes in, everyone can do
Suddenly,
that.
everybody can do it, right? I remember because I was trying to convince my people last year. Everybody was like all kinds of excuses, right? Suddenly, magically, semua boleh jalan, right?
Yeah, when we talk about smart working, remote working, no, our people are not ready. We don't have the tool. But when COVID come in, everyone ready.
Yes.
I wish to add on to the point by Shafina. Just want to quote a few things. According to the International Data Corporation, IDC, so even though the spending on big data analytic product is supposed to surpass 200 million by 2020, 50% of organizations still lack the data literacy and AI skill to really achieve the business value. So that's one point. And even according to the Gartner Annual Chief Data Officer Survey, poor data literacy is one of the main roadblocks for the digital success and the ability for the company to grow. So actually, if you talk about from a data literacy, it's no longer an option of doing or not doing. It's a must.
Yeah. And I think people like to split digital transformation with data, a data literacy project. Actually, it's together, right?
Yes. So if you think about it, for digital, one of the anchor things about digital is where it's not just about technology, right? Is you bring that data to actually help you bring the right insights. And that's where the digital comes in. The digital is about transforming the way you look at things, the way you innovate, process improvement, devising new business model, looking exactly of, like new revenue growth, right? So those are exactly what digital is all about. So it's all about pretty much you're no longer doing the norm, right? Bringing real value, new value to the organization.
Okay, very good.
I just want to add, Shalini, on the issue on investment costs, right?
Okay.
Actually, the investment costs on technology, because of open source, things are getting cheaper.
Oh, and there's a lot of SaaS models, right? Subscription. Yeah. Okay.
We used to have ERP systems, remember? SAP and all that.
Yes.
Those were, Petronas is a big SAP, but those are huge investments, right? And so now, if you look at it, a lot of things are free. So that for university environment, I would challenge the cost issue there.
Okay.
Open source solutions.
Okay. I think somebody was asking about recording. Yes, I think recording will be provided. I know we're 3 minutes over. We're just going to take a few more questions. If you're okay, Shamim, Shafinas, and Datin. There's a question about audit. I'm currently a junior in audit. So Shamim, for you, and one of the statutory bodies, and everyone is still using traditional ways of analyzing data. How do I start adapting machine learning and data governance in my audit work? Quite specific question, yeah.
So the best way to learn, I would say, is try it out, experiment. You won't break. There's no such thing as breaking a model or breaking your data, right? And then there's so much of resources out there. One of the things that we teach our staff to do is Google. If you
know, that's so true. There's an answer for everything, right?
Exactly. It's very actually. I'm challenging the employees in the bank sometimes. Have you Googled? Have you done YouTube? And then if you say no, please tell me that this has not been done before.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, learn Excel, Google. There's a YouTube video on how to learn basic Excel right up to advanced Excel, right? Yeah, I totally agree.
But try. Practice. And there's a lot of communities out there to help you as well.
Very good. Very good. Okay, there's a question, quite a specific question on demand and supply. What is the supply and demand skill of data analytics in Malaysia? Are we on track with the vision of the digital national agenda to supply 50,000 data scientists by year 2022? We need to do more tech transfer from outside the region to the level of SME in Malaysia. Any thoughts on this? Any idea from our panelists, or maybe I don't know, someone from CAD?
I don't have a specific. I know we are talking about data, and my answers should be a data-driven answers. Unfortunately, I do not have a specific figure on this, but based on insurance sector, all I can say is we have more demand than supply.
Okay.
That is for insurance sector.
And I think it's not just Malaysia. I think it's across the board, right? Demand is definitely more. I think for that particular question, I think on the stats, maybe what is that? Someone from CADS could give the statistics. I think could just type that reply in there. And I think I think Dr. Shamim answered the question on, because there's another question from Madlina about how I want to start a data journey for my organization. Any advice on where or how to start? Actually, that's as we wrap up, I think I have two questions, right? So one is, again, open to all our panelists. What is your advice for employers on the key steps that they should be taking now to prepare for the future? So again, open, you can, everyone can and give their, your opinion, please do. And then my second question is about for the young. So let's start with the employer first. Who wants to go? Shafinas, I see you unmuted. You want to go first?
Give me 1 second. I would like to share a quote from my boss.
Okay.
It's an interesting one.
Okay, all right.
For me, it's an interesting one. Find smart solutions and make things happen, then find good reason not to do it. I think there are a lot of white paper, research, McKinsey, whatever around the world have proven and it is a clear sign that data, investment in people, upskilling, reskilling, it is not a new thing. It is something that everyone have to do it, and we need to start today. As I said, purposeful investment.
Okay. Datin, Shamim, anything to add on?
Okay, I just want to talk about the spirit of Petronas, right? We always want to disrupt ourselves.
Okay.
Right. So I think with that in mind, it's always said about how do we be ahead of the curve. So it's just happened at the moment we see the value of data digital going in tandem. And there's already a journey that we embark. And we have seen a lot of attraction, not just within the organization. We also see the opportunity, some of the product that we have developed, it actually becomes a commercial product soon. So it may start with a pain point that we have in Petronas, but actually the same pain points actually arises and actually being encountered by different other organizations out there, not just oil and gas, but other industry as well. So we see an opportunity It's not just solving our own problems, we also see it as a product that we can market.
Very good. Sharim, anything to add?
Yeah, so I would say one of the key things is maybe to see that digital is an enabler, to further the company's mission, and in a very accessible manner, right? In a very easy manner. It makes your life simpler, simply put, okay? So, for us, COVID has given that strong ability for us to do to connect our customers in ways that can make their livelihoods continue, right? We've been able to create a digital platform so that people who can't sell whatever they were selling physically can do it digitally, right? So again, it's about it's an enabler. So whatever that the company organization finds meaningful, I think digital can help you achieve that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. My last question to all the panelists, right? So if you had to advise a young person today on what they should be thinking about in terms of the skills they need to acquire so that they have the opportunity to find a role in the job market, what would you advise them?
I think even the strength for the youth, you guys are born in digital era, right? A generation that are literally more tech savvy, and all you need to do is just to invest yourself in the future skills. We have more demand than supply in this skill set, so create your future, start today.
Okay, very good.
So if I were to put a context to this, I think the first thing we need to look at is the passion, right? Being passionate about it. And secondly, the world that we are in today, nothing constant. So I think as a knowledge worker at all levels, irrespective of age, we have to be relevant. So I think become a knowledge worker and continuously learning and apply. I think that's an opportunity that we all need to subscribe. So to me, don't look at it that I want to be having the biggest salary, right? Because your job may be relevant now, a few years down the road, it's no longer relevant. So the mindset and the spirit here is about become that knowledge worker, be able to continuously be relevant and marketable. So to me, that's how I want to put it in context for the young talents.
Okay, very good. Shamim, what do you think?
Yeah, to add on to Datin's note, I think it's very important to have that passion. I think the biggest challenge sometimes is actually not what is in front of our eyes, but what is behind the eyes, which is our mindset and our emotions, right? And for learning something that is difficult, digital is tough. A lot of things are tough. It requires us to overcome our fears, right? So that's an emotional matter. So being comfortable with vulnerability, right, will actually, while it's fearful, will actually make us stronger as learners. And once we have that emotional strength, I think to overcome our fears, then I think the learning can be achieved, right? So it's really about our mindset as well, to add on to the passion, right?
Very good. I think that's a great way to close. I'm sorry for the background noise. Okay, so but my pet seems to agree with what everybody is saying, so I'm really sorry. Yes, so I think to sum up, I think for our audience, so we had advice for employers, and we had advice for the young. I think to sum up, I would say start now, right? Don't wait. It's not too late. Start now. I think as Datin said very aptly, disrupt yourself before you get disrupted. I think build a compelling business case for change, and that's how you create a movement. And that's what's really so important. And be hungry, be passionate, internally motivated. I think Shafina spoke really eloquently about that. Be curious, find relevance. I think that's what it is, right? That's how you want to move forward, and be open to change. And last but not least, Shamim's great advice: Google things that you cannot find, because this is the age of information, so there's no excuse that you cannot find an answer. So yes, and again, I hope everybody found that session to be really useful. I think the recordings will be sent out. I just want to thank again Dr. Shamim, Shafinas, and Datin Hapsa for a fantastic discussion on this very important topic. And thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe. Take care. Thank you, Cads. Thank you, Sharla. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Bye.
Thank you all. So this is Farouk from CATS again. Those who want to hang on for a while for a bit of update on what we are planning to do for Project 2100, I will just start and explain to you shortly. And as you can see, it's very engaging session. The four ladies have actually raised the standard of our session in the next 1 month to come. So Zai, if you go to the next slide. Okay, just a quick recap to those who are still around with us today. So Project 2100 is all about trying to communicate to the ASEAN community what we are trying to actually get everybody on board on data literacy, meaning to say that again, we need people to understand how you can actually work with data, how you can actually analyze data, and how you're actually going to communicate with data. So people are still trying to figure out and understand what is data engineer, what's data architect, what's data scientist, and Malaysia itself has a target of again 35,000 data professionals to be developed or nurtured in the next 5 years. So where are we now? We need to start somewhere. Right? You go to the next slide. And if you need to have that information, we are already building the community across ASEAN, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, because the future of workforce today, again, everybody is going to work at home, or everybody can actually work across countries and even continent. We are seeing our alumni in the past now are actually working from home, but again, servicing clients in United States, in Japan. So because they have the skills that is required by employer. Now, if you go to the next slide, please. This is a quick video that we wanted to show with to you. If you can play the video.
All companies, no matter big or small, are transforming their business digitally. They're looking for talents with digital skills to drive digital transformation. Now everyone is expected to work with emerging technologies where data is the key ingredient. No matter what background you're from, no matter which position you're in, you will be expected to work with data. The truth is, you don't need to be a data professional to work with data. What you need is the ability to analyze, communicate, and work with data. This is data literacy. But how do you become data literate? Step 1. Identify your digital skills. Step 2. Get clarity on what skills to learn based on industry demands. Step 3. Get a personalized learning path unique to you. Step 4. Get matched with jobs and projects relevant to you. Step 5. Connect with peers, mentors, industry experts, and employers. Step 6. Participate in competitions to build reputation. Join thousands of others in a growing community. Future-proof your skills. Become data literate with Rubik. Sign up to get started.
So thank you so much. Again, we've heard from the ladies today, we've heard from the video. Data professionals at the end of the day applies to all of us, whether we want to be a generalist or specialist, but we need to start somewhere. So when we talk about starting somewhere, again, don't be scared to actually assess yourself where you are now, because at the end of the day, for CATS, we are now actually approaching and have approached the future generation in terms of, first of all, to measure where you are in terms of your capability today. So sometimes you don't know what is your capability until you're being actually profiled. This is not anything about assessment. There's no pass or fail. It's all about trying to gauge where you are and how you can actually start to get recognized to become that data professionals. And that's when I think when we actually offer our products and services, we know for sure that again, when we try to actually invest your time, your money even, you need to know that again, the journey has always been about a structured planning, right? So the next thing is again, it's not just about individual level. Again, if you are working with an organization, again, speak to your bosses, speak to your human resource to actually understand data-driven organization, not just go into again training people. It needs to make sure that, again, your organization starts to plan to become a data-driven organization. So we are able to actually speak to your team to actually identify how do you actually plan moving forward to go into this data-driven organization journey. So if you go to the next slide, again, project CATS project 2100 has started again a few years back. What we are trying to say, we've got a lot of our alumni members, if you can see here today, have gone through our journey together, and we are excited to see now they are actually the change agent to make sure that, again, the whole learning skills to actually be applied in their work has been very successful. So I think I just wanted to wrap up in terms of, again, we will need all of us in the session today to participate together just by, again, if you have a look at this QR code, pledge now if you want to be in this future-proof journey in data literacy, and hopefully, I guess, again, one day we will actually know from this session today, we will remember that, again, we are actually embarking to help each other to become the future workforce of the world. So go to the QR code, get yourself pledged in terms of, again, this project to 2100. There'll be a lot of information. There'll be a lot of webinars that we'll be sharing. There'll be a lot of, again, activities throughout this 1 month. So with that, I think I would like to thank you again to all those who have participated in the first webinar. There are many more sessions coming on board. Check out our website. And if you have any questions, do drop us a note. Thank you so much.
All companies, no matter big or small, are transforming their business digitally. They're looking for talents with digital skills to drive digital transformation. Now everyone is expected to work with emerging technologies, where data is the key ingredient. No matter what background you're from, no matter which position you're in, you will be expected to work with data. The truth is, you don't need to be a data professional to work with data. What you need is the ability to analyze, communicate, and work with data. This is data literacy. But how do you become data literate? Step 1, identify your digital skills. Step 2, get clarity on what skills to learn based on industry demands. Step 3, get a personalized learning path